Welcome to my Monday morning market update for March the 11th. Last year when the new mortgage rules were set in, there was one rule that kind of slipped under the radar that didn't get too much fanfare. And I just want to take a quick minute here to talk about it today. One of the programs that was pulled last year, amidst all the other changes, was all the insurers, CMHC, Genworth, and CG, got out of the market of insuring high ratio purchases for over $1 million. This didn't seem like a real big change back then because a lot of the other changes that went through were impacting a much larger proportion of the market. So this, a lot of people didn't really notice this one, and it turns out it's starting to affect a lot more people than was initially thought. I can't think of too many neighborhoods in Calgary now that don't have a $1 million home in it. And what it's done basically is, at the time when the rule went through, I think that the government and the insurers figured, if you're buying $1 million home, you should have at least that 20% down payment to make it a conventional purchase. But that's not necessarily the beginning and end of it. What they've done with that rule change is actually created a little bit of a gap in the market, because it's not just as easy as coming up with 20% of the purchase now. Most lenders out there, including all the big 6 retail banks, put in place what's called a sliding scale. Basically what that means is if you want to purchase a home over, in some cases, $750,000, and you want to do it conventionally, they may not lend you the full 80% loan to value on the entire purchase, or the entire value of the property. Pretty common sliding scale is to do 80% of the first $750,000 of lending, and then 50% of the value thereafter. This can cause a lot of people to need to come up with a lot more money if they're going to buy a home, in that $1 million to $3 million range. And the biggest reason I brought this up is that there is actually a lender, or even a couple lenders out there still, that A, have a much more generous sliding scale, or B, I have one lender that still does not do any kind of a slide all the way up to a purchase of $3 million. And this can make a huge difference. For instance, if you have a client that's looking for a $1.5 million home, and they go and speak with their bank who uses the traditional sliding scale, they're only going to get $975,000 in financing on that $1.5 million property. Compare that to $1.2 million in financing if they were able to finance it right up to that 80% point, which they can if they use the lender that does not have a sliding scale. So, just some food for thought. I think it's important because there's a lot of people buying homes for $1 million that not only may not have more than 20% to put down, they just may not want to put more than 20% down. With interest rates being sub 3% for 5 years right now, a lot of people would just rather leave this money in the market or in their business if they're a business owner, just because they're gaining a better return on it than they would if they needed to put it against their home. So, that being said, not too many changes again this week in interest rates. There was a tiny little drop again last week in the 5-year fixed rate. You'll notice that this is predominantly the rate that wholesale lenders that I deal with and all the big banks, they really sharpen their pencils in the spring on it, because they really compete on the 5-year and just kind of ignore all the other terms because the 5-year dominates the market right now. So a little bit of a drop, 10 basis point drop. We're looking at 3.79% on a 5-year fixed. Now that depends on a few different things. Mainly the closing period of the purchase, and some of the products have a few different little stipulations in them. And it's important that try to keep it into a fully featured mortgage, and which is available at 3.79% or 2.79%. So that's good news for borrowers, and along with all the other products out there, it's a really good time for interest rate wise for borrowers to get out there and take a look what's on the market. So that's it for today, guys. I hope you guys have a great week. Don't hesitate to give me a call or send me an email if you have any questions.